welcome to Erica's. No, I'm Erica. That's David. Sorry. But no, serious. We're talking about a serious topic here that we've had lots of questions from parents, about this particular topic, which is youth in sports.
Yeah, so there's a lot of articles. If you've been following fitness or athletic training as a parent or as a young athlete, more so as a parent, you've seen and probably heard a lot of coaches and trainers talk about the importance of your kid playing multiple sports. And we were talking about it the other day, and we decided to make a video about it because we think in our experience here at Outright Fitness with the gym, we've been training, we train a lot of people. We train a lot of people every year. And I think in reality, I think it's harder than what it sounds. At face value, we were talking like telling your kid to play multiple sports because it exposes them to variability. It exposes them to multidirectional movement and different skills that helps make them more well-rounded and minimizes injury. That sounds great at face value, but I think it's a little harder than that.
Yeah, so basically the argument is from all this, experts, non-experts, just people are saying that your child should not specialize in one sport, that they should be exposed to all sports so that they can be a well-rounded individual, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Which is great. Which, yes, if there's an opportunity to expose your children to as many sports as they want to and are interested in, that's great. But the reality is here that we see in athletic training, especially for youth, that especially love one particular sport, whether it's soccer, whether it's baseball, whatever. They're really interested in one sport, and they want to be invested in that one sport. It's okay.
So here's the problem. Here's a problem that we've uncovered. The problem is if you have a kid that is playing multiple sports, if you are a kid that's playing multiple sports, if we're talking about, say, volleyball or say soccer and track and field, for example, soccer exposes you to a lot of different skills as far as fitness is concerned. Track is very one-dimensional depending on what event you do. Soccer, if you're good at soccer, we have a kid that's good at soccer and she's good at track. Soccer is pretty much year-round. So not only is she playing school soccer, she's doing club soccer, and outside of that, she's doing clinics. She has college showcases that overlaps track season. And the problem is when it comes to having an off season, these kids don't have a real off season. That's the biggest problem that we've uncovered. The kids don't have a real off season. So if you are a parent and you bring your child to us and you say, hey, my child is weak, I need my child to improve on their upper body strength, or I need my child to improve on their leg strength, we almost don't have a good window to do it because the kid is always competing, and we have to be mindful of their season. So if the kid comes to us on a Wednesday, they have a showcase on Friday, Saturday, we can't really do anything meaningful during the week because the kid is in season. And that's pretty much, we find that to be true for all the sports.
Yeah, and because the problem, especially when they can come once every other week or once, at that point, it's great that that they're coming in, but
they need more.
But they need more, and and granted, it might be sort of okay, if they have a good program, if their soccer program is good, or they're doing some other stuff with their other sports, but most of the time they're not because they're focusing on the specific skills for that specific sport. And so when they're needing to get faster but work on power, work on strength, it's almost impossible. So then as coaches, and as parents,
we get your dilemma. As parents, your dilemma is, your kid is really good at this sport or your kid is really interested in this sport. I don't want to take the kid out. But your kid also wants to play this other sport, or you want to expose the kid to this other sport for the versatility. But, a lot of schools aren't competitive in certain things. Like a lot of schools, primarily, especially down south, or it's football country. So if it ain't football, if your kid isn't playing football, they're not being exposed to strength training. They don't really train in the off season that seriously. So
or they might be doing strength training, but it's not the correct strength training that they need.
Yeah. And so I was gonna say, so a lot of the kids, I lost my train of thought a little bit, but anyways, a lot of the kids, if they're not playing football, they need to have things to supplement with other things, and their seasons overlap. Oh, I was gonna say, a lot of school programs aren't that good or competitive. A lot of school programs aren't as competitive as club track and field, for example. There's a lot, especially middle school. A lot of middle school track programs aren't as competitive as AAU or USA. A lot of middle school basketball programs aren't as good as AAU club basketball. So the parents want their kids to socialize with their peers at school, but the parents also want the kids to be competitive and develop against other kids. So they put them in that club sport, which means the kid ends up playing most of the year. And when the kid needs to work on something, there's not a really good window to do it. The kid has like a month off out of the whole year. So if the kid even comes to a trainer or a coach, which a lot of kids, it's safe to say most kids don't. If the kid is fortunate enough to be exposed to outside training, the trainer only has a month to do any effective work. And so to skip forwards real quick, because we can ramble about this all day, to skip forwards real quick, we think the solution is hard. It's a hard one. Twofold. One, if you have a young athlete and you want them to play multiple sports, it depends on how you do it. Maybe you do it on a year-to-year basis, maybe within a year, half the year they're playing one sport, the other half they're playing a different sport, but not two at the same time. Maybe you're just more aware. Maybe you're more careful of, their schedule with club and school and things of that nature, and you make sure they have 6 to 9 weeks, 12 weeks maybe of off-season time where they can actually either just rest or they can actually focus on things that complement what they do. Or the other solution is to, again, make sure your kid has an off-season, but by Coach Erica was saying, let them do one sport. If it's a one-dimensional sport like track and field, if your kid is running the mile, for example, then you expose the kid to variability through outside training. During their off season, you let a coach or a trainer, you let them expose the kid to multidirectional movements. You let them expose the kid to upper body strength work, to speed training that complements their distance running. So those are the solutions, because just in case you don't want to keep watching this whole video, we stated the problem, that's our solutions. But anyways,
So I mean, I think we rambled a lot, and I think what we're really trying to say is, as parents, we often get, I hear this research that they should be put into all the sports to get all sorts of exposure, and then on the other hand, if I want my kid to get ahead, they should be specializing in a sport. I mean, both are correct. It just depends on the goal. So if the child just wants to have fun, just, isn't interested in getting to the next level and just wants to have fun and make it a lifelong type of activities, that's great. Yeah. But if the child, and you see that there's potential that this kid actually can make it to the next level, giving that opportunity to make it to the next level is also great. And with a coach, the coach should be whatever age, because we obviously there's some 7-year-old kid training right now, but if you look at AAU times, I mean, there's a lot of young kids that are already really fast, and I'm sure that they're getting some sort of training, and we see it as early as 4, which is okay, but the coach has to be able to introduce elements that are age appropriate at every level, so that if you want to specialize in basketball, if you want to specialize in track and field, for us, if you bring your child who is 7, 8 years old, we're gonna do stuff that is appropriate for that 7-year-old. That help them become multi-dimensional, even though they're specializing in one sport.
Now, let me make this clear, that my take on this one stance. On the premises that youth should not specialize, I think there's a little misconception in that. Hear me when I say this, and if you look, I'm sure you can, if you just kind of think about it, you would agree that it makes sense. Your child is not going to be, at this current level, is not going to develop great soccer skills by not doing soccer a lot. It kind of makes sense. I mean, on a heavily skilled sport, you gotta specialize. You gotta specialize. You gotta, those kids gotta get the reps in to be able to do things without thinking about it, for things to be natural. If your kid is fast, I know sometimes people will look at it and say, "Oh, that's just genetics." But I guarantee you, a lot of these kids that are fast, their parents, someone in their life has exposed them to a lot of speed training. Some kids naturally have some speed, but I'm talking about on the higher competitive levels. Those kids are not executing proper 100-meter breakdown mechanics just off of genetics.
Or just frame mechanics, period.
They're being trained. They're being coached. They are specializing. Again, going back to our solution, there's a right way and a wrong way to specialize. Again, another case in point, your kid is not going to be a great miler by not doing the mile, or by not running distance. And it doesn't make sense. You're not going to be a great swimmer by not specializing and focusing on swimming. It doesn't make any sense. Now, the whole notion behind exposing your kids to multiple sports is mainly speaking to minimizing risk of injury and therefore helping and complementing your performance and your development. If your kid is training and doing a lot of multi-directional movements and getting good exposure to upper and lower body strength and responsiveness and power and things of that nature, there's lower risk of injury. But again, that can be done with proper training. In college sports and professional sports, there's a such thing as off-season. And in off-season, in preseason, you're supposed to be getting exposed to cross-training. Cross-training is supposed to complement and fill in the gaps and complement the things that the athletes need to develop in their sport, whether it's making them more well-rounded, building a solid foundation, what have you. So understand, that's my strong stance, is the notion that you shouldn't specialize at a young age is confusing, and I think that's a deceiving one, because your kid is not going to be great if they're not special. I mean, you're not going to be good at math by not doing math. You're going to have to focus on that to be good at it. But there's a right way and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah, So at the end of the day, you have to look at what is the goal of your child. Whether they want to make it to the next level or they just want to do stuff for fun, which either one is great. But then, if you want the kid to get to the next level, there is going to be some specific training that they'll need in that specific sport to get to the next level. But again, going back to what Coach David was saying, is it has to be appropriate training that complements what the skills that the athlete is developing or needs to develop.
Yeah. And let's finish with this. And for those of you who are still watching, a story of one of our athletes that came into us, a young female athlete, soccer player. If you know anything about female soccer players, female athletes in general, but especially soccer, one of the highest injuries is ACL. So she came to us after having an ACL injury, an ACL tear. She had a knee brace on. The doctors released her to start training. The dad wanted her to get faster. The kid was probably average, maybe a little bit below average as far as soccer skill goes. But she enjoyed playing soccer. So great, we're here to help. So we wanted to fill the gap and try to help this kid get stronger so that they can better enjoy the next soccer season. However, the kid kept playing soccer year-round, school soccer, club soccer. So we had a small window to help this kid get faster. One of our solutions was this kid needs to do strength training to get stronger, to have her knee be more stable, yada, 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 hip stability, knee stability, whatever. The parent wanted the kid to get faster, and the parent thought that, well, I want you to work on speed work more so, because I really want her to get faster. And we were telling, well, if she can get stronger, she has a better chance of getting faster. She also has a better chance of staying away from injuries. there's a little bit of conflict there. The parent rather her do more speed work. Kind of, our hands are tied, of course. We can only do so much if the parents don't want to listen fully. Long story short, this kid, got put back into soccer. Well, she never stopped playing, but when the I think school season picked up again, club soccer finished, when school picked up, the girl tore her other ACL first day in practice. I don't know what they're doing. We don't have any control of what they're doing in their sport. Our job is to try to complement the sport. Our job is to coach the athlete, try to fill the gaps, try to convince the parents of what the kid needs. It's hard to convince you parents that your kid needs a break, that your kid needs an off season. Your kid needs a whole summer for us to work on improving strength. So, that's our strong argument. It's just your kid needs an off season. Your kid needs a break. If your kid is doing multiple sports, or if your kid is doing one sport, but they're freaking playing and training and clinics year round, you're going to stunt that athlete's growth development. Will you increase them to more injury? Maybe, maybe not. But more importantly, it's important to have an off season. That's why all professional and college sports have one. Mm-hmm. That's why they do a lot of their conditioning and foundation building in off season. That's what it's for. So that's our take on it. Coach David here.
Coach Erica over here.
Let us know what you think. Leave some comments. We'll do some more videos. Maybe we'll write an article about it if you think it'll help. Let us know.
Yep. So send us your questions.
Peace.
Anything.